Hi, Aurea. I am here on behalf of Arakim.
That's weirdly formal. Everything all right?
He finds you intimidating. Personally, I don't see it, but I thought I'd be extra polite for his sake.
He does. Good. What does he want?
He's wondering if he could power the scry while I run an errand for him. He's hoping you'll give him tips.
Happily. But feel free to tell him I was a bit scary, to keep him on his toes.
Hey, you all right?
Yes. There's something I should have told you, so I'll just come out and say it. I was born in the Enclave.
How is that possible?
Oh, luck or tragedy, depending on your perspective. Before I was born, my mother and father lived here happily for several years. But they decided it would be better if my mother raised me with my grandmother and great aunts for the first few months of my life. So she left with me when I was just a hatchling, with every intention to return.
But the surge happened.
The life I should have had was lost for good. Because of all this, I never knew my father. I don't even know his name.
Isn't it a little strange your mother never told you his name?
She was separated from him so suddenly. She had no chance to say goodbye. My mother is a strong woman, but whenever I asked about him as a child, she could only manage a few words before her face would crumble. She found it too painful to discuss, and I never wanted to pry.
But now?
I can't help but wish I knew who he was.
Is it common for Oberon hatchlings to be raised apart from their fathers?
No, but it is common for extended family to be involved in the raising of children. As you know, I come from a long line of weavers, many of whom traveled in caravans their entire lives. It was apparently quite a shock when my mother fell for a Hearthsider.
So your parents were looking for a compromise when it came to raising you?
Exactly. And I wouldn't trade my childhood on the road. My great-aunts and my grandmother made me who I am, after all.
Still, you missed out on your father. It's natural to wonder about him.
I suppose.
Does your family have something to do with your attachment to the Enclave?
Being here has meant a lot in some ways, and in others, it's very different from what I expected. Meeting the Hearthsiders was a lifelong dream. But the circumstances of our encounter? Not what I'd envisioned.
Knowing now that this is your birthplace, I can see why that would be disheartening.
This was meant to be my home, after all.
This is definitely a twist. I feel like you could have told me sooner.
I am sorry for that. You need to be able to trust me.
So why hide it?
Talking about difficult and private matters is not my strong suit. And frankly, I rarely see the point in dwelling on the past.
I guess you and your mother have that in common.
Huh. You might be right.
So, we're going to find out who your father was.
You would help me?
Of course. Maybe Lane would have some ideas on where to start.
Actually, I had an idea myself. The spindle mentioned a statue of my mother. It's clear the Enclave commemorated their champions. I can't shake this feeling my father is among them.
You think there's a statue of your father?
I know it sounds strange, but the handful of times that my mother spoke of him, she described him as this great hero. Since she was one herself, is it so crazy to think she might have meant that literally?
Maybe not. I can scope out the statues in Upper Denevron for a resemblance, if that's what you want.
Good. And thank you.
So, Aurea, what do you make of the Enclave Council?
Their living history. What they've seen, what knowledge they must have preserved. All this time, they've been here, holding down the fort. It's great you've offered to help the axle and the spindle. Just be careful you're not going over the eye's head.
Honestly, I've seen his type before, and I don't trust him. He's slippery. We need to
respect the leader of the territory we're in, Bryn. He's led the Enclave during a crisis. The rules change. He knows more about the Surge, the Enclave, and arguably even magic. Because while we've been outcasts, he's been here, at the heart of our culture. It's something we need to respect.
I'll try.
Good.
Aurea, I'm curious. Why the sudden interest in finding out more about your father?
He was trapped in the Enclave my entire life. This is the first chance I actually have to find out who he was.
Right. But I guess what I mean is, you really never tried to find out more from your mother.
I always had this sense that it wasn't something she could discuss. There was a heaviness in the air when his name came up. She was in love with him. And then she lost him, in this cataclysmic event that no one could have predicted.
That must have been unimaginably painful.
Yes. She wasn't a tragic figure, though. She carried it well. You'd never know she was in pain. And truthfully, I had such a good life with my mother and my grandmother. It wasn't like I felt he was missing.
Until now.
Until we arrived here, yes. Something about this place just makes it clear how much I've lost because of the Surge.
Being here makes me wonder. If the Surge hadn't happened, would I have been forced to leave home to become a weaver?
Most certainly not. You would have been a valued member of society, not an outcast. Did you have a good relationship with your mother?
I love her, but we clashed a lot. She's afraid of magic, and weavers, and adventure, and leaving Carnhaven.
Basically, all the things even an Ash Peak Drake couldn't keep you from, let alone your own mother.
Pretty much.
My mother and I had our ups and downs throughout my life, too. As daughters get older, we understand our mothers better.
Any chance our mothers understand us better with age, too?
She'll come around to the weaving, if that's what you're worried about. She loves you, after all.
She does. I know that much.
The Hearthsiders look more traumatized than a beast of burden after a hurricane.
What? Why would you say that?
I would think someone who grew up in the wake of war would recognize the signs. Disorganized and unable to triage their own problems. They're overwhelmed. Suspicious of us despite our clear good intentions, suggesting paranoia. And while their leader is in deep denial of the very real crisis the Enclave is in, the others accept it. They've been stewing in turmoil for so long, it's become their new normal. And it's probably more comfortable for them than the prospect of change.
You're right. They do remind me of some veterans back in Carnhaven.
Saw it 1,000 times over while working in Udea. Aurea may not want to hear it, but these people are completely lost in their crisis.
I spoke to Aurea earlier. She certainly does want to give the Eye the benefit of the doubt. I'm not so sure it's warranted.
Aurea has a case of hero worship when it comes to the Enclave. She can be blinded by it sometimes.
Huh.
It's not to say great things didn't happen here. But at the end of the day, the Hearthsiders aren't gods. They're fallible. Just like us.
And then, Sev and I realized we might be able to repurpose the carapace for more than just loon gates.
Uh-huh.
Purely theoretical right now, but I'm contemplating tangle-resistant gear, or even a protective layer around the caravan.
Dom, I'm a little busy trying to look over these Tarmakine schematics again. Do you mind coming back later?
Oh, okay. You're right. We can discuss theoretical magic anytime. I'll leave you to your work.
Oh. Hey, Bryn.
Everything all right? Things between you and Dom seem off lately.
Yeah, a bit. I'm not sure he understands what my work on the Tarmakine smithing techniques means to me.
Have you told him how you're feeling?
It feels like he's so wrapped up in his own discoveries that he's not hearing me.
He is easily distracted, but maybe you should try again. If there's one thing I know about Dom, it's that he loves you. He must care about your feelings.
Then why isn't he asking about them? Sorry, this isn't on you. I'm just frustrated. I need to do more than just tell him what Tarmakine means to me.
How so?
I need to show him. By investigating Tarmakine practices, maybe I can make some headway on restoring these techniques. Then he'll understand.
Hey, I'm always down to investigate lost knowledge, especially in the name of love.
You'll help me?
Of course.
Amazing. I'll ask the Axel if she knows anything about Tarmakine smithing in the Enclave.
Great idea. I'll meet you at Cassidon's Hold.
That man.
Everything okay?
Yes, it is. I'm probably making something out of nothing. I've just got a lot on my mind. Oh, gods! I forgot to thank him for the hammer. I'd better go do that. That wasn't exactly the warmest welcome. I'm guessing the Enclave Council isn't your biggest fan right now.
I mean, we did let the Surgeborn loose. Even if they should have stopped us from doing it, like Arik said.
A part of it is still on us.
I am worried they won't warm up. But, in the meantime, all I can do is try to make amends.
Whatever the Council thinks of you, I'm glad you're trying to help them. I think they could really use it.
Yeah. They don't seem to be in great shape.
Nothing our daring point can't fix.
So, what were you speaking to the Eye about?
Nothing. I don't want to talk about it.
I didn't mean to pry. I just wanted to make sure you're okay.
You want to know if I'm okay?
Yes?
Then how come no one is at all concerned with the fact we can't leave? This isn't my life. Traveling with a Weaver Band was supposed to be temporary. For me, at least. There are things I should get back to in Tarza. And it's increasingly clear no one has any idea when I will. If ever. So no. I'm not okay.
I'm so sorry. I had no idea you were feeling this way. You're right.
I am?
The truth is, we don't know how or when we're getting out of here. But if you want to leave, we should have made that more of a priority. Or at least made you feel more heard. So we'll work on it. Promise.
Really? What's...
No catch. Apprentice or full-time weaver, what's important to you is important to all of us.
I don't know what to say. But thanks.
Good news. You're going to study with Aurea. Well, there's no reason she wouldn't teach you. Aurea believes in preserving and sharing everything we learn. Times are hard outside the Veil.
Oh, that makes complete sense. I've coordinated lots of operations from Cassidon's hold, but I never had much formal training. More self-taught. A chance to learn from someone with decades of experience is an incredible opportunity. I'll be there with you then, when you get close to the nests. They're in the Bastion's yard and Envoy's Landing in Upper Denevron.
Making yourself at home?
Yes. I've always wanted my own ruined fountain. I don't want to presume, but being here is a nice break from all the politics.
And the eye is okay with that?
I convinced him I would be keeping an eye on you. Frankly, I think he's just glad to be rid of me. I ask the kind of questions that make him uncomfortable. You know, tough ones like, how? And why exactly?
Lucky for you, Aurea loves when people ask those questions. Welcome to the camp, Eric. We're glad to have you, and your insight on the Hearthsiders.
You still call us that?
Yeah, but it's more bitter these days.
Let's. Thanks again for offering to talk to Aurea for me. It's genuinely exciting to learn from someone new for once.
Do you suppose she liked it after all?
The hammer?
Yes, of course. I worry she didn't.
What lady doesn't dream of one day receiving a magic hammer? Actually, with Solar, that's probably true. Seriously, it was a very thoughtful gift.
I had thought so. I'm just a little surprised.
She remembered, just a little late.
It might sound callous, but I'm a little disappointed.
They're in worse shape than any of us expected.
They've done so little to repair the wonders that surround them. How can a society once renowned for its genius become... It makes me question if they were ever as great as we all believe they were.
Some myth to keep weavers going after the...
Exactly. Something for us to believe in, whether or not it was true.
I've honestly been having the same thoughts myself. It's not exactly living up to the stories my father told me each night.
Not just bedtime stories, but books, academic papers, first-hand accounts. I'm just not sure what to think anymore.
flame magic. Unpredictable and powerful.